let's talk about the web development. Because whatever you're doing, front-end application or some RESTful API, you need to service to host that. And today we are going to learn about our web service and service that streamline the process of development in Asia. So let's find out how we can use it and uh, how you can host the web application on there. So content of this today's session, I will categorize through just these three main topics. Asia App Service, Asia App Service demonstration, how we can host and create application, and other web services. So in this session, mainly we are talking about the Asia App Services. So what is Asia App Services? Uh, so let's start introduction into app services. If you are ever have been hosting web application before, you are already probably been using some kind of service, hosting service, some kind of hosting service that can provide by any kind of hosting provider or PaaS solution. Actually, Azure App Service is a PaaS solution. That means a platform as service that provided by Asia. So there are many other service providers. So you are one of you can be one of using one of them to host your application and deploy your application. So this is the hosting solution, hosting service, PaaS solution that provided by Azure. Uh, the Azure allows you to host in here uh, uh, web applications, mobile backends, and RESTful APIs in the any programming language of your choice. So even you are familiar with PHP, C Sharp, .NET, C Sharp, F Sharp, whatever languages, Java, Python. So various kind of languages are supported by these services. Also, it has a auto scaling and high availability. It supports both Windows and Linux operating system. That means you can what you prefer. If you more open source guy, you can Linux, and if you prefer on .NET and other technologies by Windows provided, you can use Windows based service. So and it also enable automated deployment from GitHub, Azure, DevOps, and any other Git repos. Even locally Git via local Git, you can deploy application to it. So let get a high level idea of what is app service and how it does work. Normally you have users which hit up on the app services and they get a response. It is a very high level idea of app services. User just request via HTTP protocol, then you get the response. So let's if we dig into deep, when you register app service, you should give a name. In here you can see that domain one. So and if you are not using a dedicated domain to it just came up with a pre-domain, that domain one asiawebsite.net. So when you give a name to app service, it will be create this domain with it. And under it, we get some folder structure like this. So actually what is underneath the app service is there is a folder structure that supports the support your files. Like even if you are familiar with some kind of IIS hosting or Apache hosting, you can see they also have a file structure. And even this app service has a file structure like home, site, root, index HTML mean the default request page. Uh, it's imitate this file structure. So next question, how is actually this, where is the resources for this app services? So we can come up with the answer, it is an app service plan. So there is a, in here, Azure use separation of concern. This app service bit separate from app service plan bit separate from app service, but it has the all the resources you want to host your application like Vico, RAM, storage. So is the place we can define the resources we want to run our app services. Actually, it is the infrastructure that app service need. So we in here you can see, as I mentioned, there's separation about app service and app service plan. So you we can host multiple applications, web app services within a app service plan. So you can run multiple app services within same app service plan with the shared resources. So this is how the separation of concern help us to scale our application within a app service plan. So let's move on to the multiple language support. As I first mentioned, it will support C Sharp, PHP, Java, JavaScript, Python, Ruby. Here Docker is not a programming language, but I insert it here because it also support that Docker containerized technology. Also, Docker is not the only containerized services, but in here, app service support Docker. Even your Docker image can be hosted on app service. So it helps lot of language. Whatever you know, you can just code within it and host via this app service. So it also optimized for DevOps. Like if you are using Azure DevOps, GitHub, Bitbucket, even local Git, even Docker Hub. That means the container registry. You can use these kind of repositories to just make the continuous deployment with your app service. Uh, so if we move to the scale with high availability of the app service, so Windows, that Azure, Microsoft, actually Microsoft guaranteed 99.95 availability of app service. It is, I think, highly available service, so they guaranteed it. So with the global scale, even you can scale up your 1 week or 1.7 GB RAM app service to 4 week or 14 GB RAM via any matrices like CPU usage, RAM usage, or request count. With likewise using any kind of matrices, you can scale up B1 server to P3 V2. This B1 and P3 V2, the SKU units they use for their app services, I will show in a demo. So even it helps this scale up automatically and manually also. Even it is support scale out. That means you can use same instance, multiple instance of the same app service. Like if you have 1 week or 175 GB RAM, you can create a 4 instance of it, depending on your requirement. So what are the other features this app service provide you? It is security compliant with iOS, SOC, and PCI. Also, it also help Azure AD, Microsoft Live, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and all the main authentication providers. That means you can integrate your application, app service without any code with these kind of authentication providers. Simply you can integrate without any code. So even also this service, app service, provide rich features of Visual Studio integration that will help to deploy application from Visual Studio, remote debugging, and many more features with the extension of Visual Studio. Even these app services help cause push notifications, and there is many other features. If you go through the documentation of Asian services, you can find a lot of features that it will sub, that will it support as a platform to us to easy our work, doing easily our work rather than other services. So I think it's better to see how we can create a app service in Azure portal. So there's a many more ways to create it. Even using Azure CLI, you can create one. Even using ARM template, you can create one. So here I just going to show you how to create app service easily via Azure portal. So let So anytime if you have a question, please disturb me and ask. Uh, yes. Yep. Here we can use this option to just directly came to this place. Oh, here we have the web app application. I just click on it, then it will direct me to the job. Here, just basic Azure resource creation is created here. So first I have to select my subscription. My default subscription is selected and resource group, and even I can create new one. Oh, I should give some common, not unique name to the app service. I will give yes, yeah, mm, yeah, it's okay. So you can select the publish method as I mentioned, even code or Docker container, you can select both. Here I will select the code, and you can, as I mentioned, it is support various kind of languages as and right runtime like .NET, Java, Node, PHP, Python, Ruby. So we here I will select as .NET 5. Even you can select that operating system as I mentioned, or Windows or Linux. So Linux operating systems less compared to Windows, it will be a less costly rather than Windows. So even you can select the region, whatever region you want, nearest region, no, it is best. So I will let it as the value here. So even I can use the default app service pan or create new one. Uh, yes. I'll show you how to create a new one. But Also, we can use that standard one. Yes. We can create a new app service plan by giving a name, or we can change its size. Yes. Yes. As I mentioned, we don't want these production things like as you mentioned. You can remember the earlier slide that V1, V3, V2. This is the SKU unit that we can select from the Azure to our application. Even I think for here, this standard one is enough for this demonstration. So even you can go for more higher versions and select that features, the app service plan you want. If you would like to create more apps on that app service plan, you can select a more powerful one, like more value with more vCores and more app. But for here, we can keep it as the standard one. So in here also, when you set up in, you can enable continuous deployment as well. You can authorize your GitHub account via it and link to here, or even after the creating, we can link this. I will disable it for now. In the monitoring phase, we can configure the monitoring part. I mean, application inside the another service that provided by Azure that will we can query, or we can just search the loggings, failures, exceptions, and everything that will be happen within our application. So I'll let it as default one. Will create this application inside as well. Here, yes. When we using this subscription, we have to create this one because this Asia initiative subscription, it or it is has a rule. If you creating some resources, we should be at this. I think this is not needed in when you are creating this thing in your subscription or another subscription, but this subscription is have a rule. We should enter this created by tag. But tags are really helpful even when we are considering costing and when we can grouping resources and check with the how they are cost. And there are many more benefits when using tags. But it is not mandatory thing. Uh, then we can review and create. It will take some time. Uh, let's see. Delete deploy. Delete deploying. Usually it will take under 1 minute. Yeah, right. We can go to resource like this. So after creating it, you can see it like this. basic features and everything, even with the URL, health, running, location, and that kind of basic features are there. And this left hand side, you can see what are the features that supported by Asia. So let's see, go and check some features. Okay, what are that offered by the Asia for this app service. Then we will come back and see how we can host the application and how we can deploy it to this app service. So uh, first thing we should be consider that overview. In this overview, in the top, you can see this bar with the browse, stop, swap, restart, delete, refresh, get publish profile, share to mobile, send your people. Like basic features are in there, like to stop your application, swap your application slot. I will be next talking about it. And even you can restart, delete, refresh, get the publish profile. So here, next main thing is the URL. As I mentioned uh, earlier, I use that demo 241 name, and it will come up with this name. If we go to the app service we create, you can see that it is created with the given name. The given name. Okay, so there is a URL, then there is a app service plan. As I mentioned, it will be display the app service plan. So by clicking on it, we can even change it. So another main thing it will be displayed at is the status of this app service. It is a running or whatever the status is as. So this basic information we can see on the overview, and we can see some data matrices that will be show us the status of the app service. So next thing is diagnose and solve problem. So this most important thing when you diagnosing some issue within app service, it will be categorize this data and provide you a better insight on how you can handle a problem with app services. You can, it will be provide available that performance data, configuration management data, and everything help you to troubleshoot the problems you come up with the uh, Asia app service. Then if we go to the next feature, that security is another important features. It will be help to you to secure your app service with a standard, and it will be suggesting some improvements of your security plan, even with the Microsoft the Asia Security Center. It will be suggesting the security things and how you do configure. If you are supporting some secret protocols, how they are configured and what are the vulnerabilities you have, that kind of features are showing there. So another cool feature is it is quick start. If you are if you are new to programming and everything, then you can just go to quick start and just follow the documentation they provided, the .NET or Java or Node or Python. So then quickly you can host your web application. I guarantee within 10 minutes with this document, within 10 minutes, you can host your application with Azure. So deployment sort. The another cool feature is supported by the Azure App Services, the deployment slot. These deployment slots are provide you to uh, keep your changes smoothly. Likewise, if you think you have a deep production slot, staging slot, then you don't want to deploy your application direct to the production slot. You can just deploy it to the staging slot, then test it, then swap it with the production slot. Even if something wrong with production slot, you can just change it the previous version. So it is a cool feature that mean you can change between your deployments. Yeah, deployment center. I will going to again to our hosted application of created application. In this deployment center, you will be, as I mentioned first, it will be showing you the available option like GitHub, Bitbucket, local Git, Azure repo, external Git, OneDrive, even Dropbox. So it will help you to continuous deployment and delivery. So you want to just select your provider and configure it, then you can be able to work with continuous integration with app services. So let's again move to our uh, presentation. Uh, so here the most important part is another important part is the configuration. So mainly you have to keep your connection strings and another values that you want to configure within the even when application is running, some kind of secret, uh, but Azure has separate services as you want to keep the secrets. In here, uh, you can see in presentation that application inside instrument at key. As I mentioned, when we are using application inside, we want to way to authenticate with it. So we are just using instrument key, that secret key that help us to connect with it, and even your DB connection, another configuration values for the application we can keep here. Not only that, even we can configure general settings like runtime, what kind of platform you prepare to, uh, FTP, HTTP version you use, is WebSocket used in this application, and remote debugging is enabled. Like when configurations can be set up within this application. Okay, even if you are hosting, you know there should be a default path when your application hit uh, user request. So even you can configure it and provide default one like index, HTML index, PHP, or even you have a custom settings, you can add it here and just point out to your application. And even if you are using some kind of virtual directory or something, even it can be configured here. Like you can map how the request should be directed and everything can be added here. So next one is the authentication. As I mentioned, it will be help us to configure different kind of authentication provider. Even if I go back to the screen, so we can add identity provider. There are lot of identity providers. It will be supported Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Twitter. All major identity providers are supported by this platform. So you just want to click and configure them. So yes, move back to the presentation again. So custom domain. As I mentioned first, if you don't give a custom domain, it will be defaultly take our name at that Azure.net domain will be appeared. But If you want to give a custom domain, it can be configured here. So if you want some kind of abcd.com, like you can point it out your domain records here. Then we can use that domain for our app service. Here, it it will be supporting virtual network, hybrid connection. Mean if you have a specific local network that would like to connect to this app services, it can be configured. Azure CDN can configured, and access restriction, and Azure Pando that will be manage the traffic between that will help to manage different services providers with Azure. These kind of all features are supported by these app services. Uh, so next main feature is scaling up. So as I mentioned, if you want to upon request, if you want to scale up your application, you can use this configure here. Even so, even scale out, that mean manually you can scale up instances, or using custom defined auto scale. I'll again show it to you. This is scale up service plan. Just you can select what the infrastructure you want, and you can spin up it. Even if you can go to scale out plan, that means you can just select manual scales instance. You can have instance count to 10, or you can custom auto scale based on any matrix, like yes, you can define matrix add a rule that will define the usage of CPU, RAM, or the request count. So this is the properties. Property section will show you that outbound IP address. As this is web app services, doesn't take a static web IP address. It will have a dynamic range of IP addresses changing time to time because it is a multiple hosting provider. So in here, there's a if you are just want to restrict it, or some security measures on web application firewalls or some things, you can just pick these IP address ranges and put them there to secure your app service. Even it will be provide FTP hosting facilities with, if you just want, like if you think you are hosting some kind of front end application, or something that will mostly want to deal with the files rather than deploying a executable. So you can use this FTP option as well. So next cool thing is the app service plan. As I mentioned here, you can, let me again move to the our considered environment. Here you can see the app service plan details, how it use CPU, memory, data in and out, uh, and even you can have a different kind of feature for it as well. So then you can change it even after you are deploying no Azure requirement. So even codes, that mean it will be show the usage of your application, how much data it will be used in the storage, Yes, how much storage it use, and how much RAM it use, and everything details, uh, the available threshold for it you can see in here. Even you can change your app service plan from here to, if you want more performing apps service plan, if you want more infrastructure you can change it here. Mm. Another advanced tool, if we go into that advanced rule page feature, I'm not going to each and every feature because it will be too long if I go to each and every one. I am just going for that mostly usable and wanted thing when we are developing advanced tool. It is providing interface to your server. That means this is a pass, but we all know it should be have a server to host our file and everything. So Kudu is the server used by app service plan. So web Azure app service. So it will show us the interface to that Kudu server. It will show the information of server, then app settings, and even if it is a Windows one, it will show the console, and if it is a Linux one, it will show the bash. So here it also help us to manage everything and dig into the deep to troubleshooting and everything. So this is the real server that abstract by app service. So it also provide the uh, interface to access it and do whatever we want when we are developing. So I think before this one, we can go to a create app service uh, and see how we can create app service and see how we can deploy it here. Yes, here I have already created one. I'll be delete it. Okay. Uh, Let me create a new one. Yes. Uh, you can see how fast we can do this. It will be create a simple MVC application. We can just build it. And then to run it, whether it's work. Yes, let's see. It is running. Yes, it is like this, welcome page and everything. So I'm using, as I mentioned, it is supporting a lot of Visual Studio integrations. I just go to folder and just open it to publish it to the Azure server. Even you can use Azure CLI or pipeline, whatever thing you want. So simply I'm just using Visual Studio. Just you want to publish it. Yes. So just click on the start. Then you get this. What is your target? Then Azure App Service Windows. Then when I log in with my account, it will be yes. Let's see. Ask to re-enter my credentials. See, when it shows because I have multiple subscriptions. I it will show this subscription, and it will show the when we select the resource group view, it will be show the resource group as. Then I can select the web app I want to publish it. Just clicking on it. Then we can click on the publish. Yes, it will be because of my Visual Studio a bit slow. It will take time. Other than it will not take much time. You can see. Uh, yes, we can see it here. So if you want to do a change and check whether it's working, if you go to the CSXML, yes, just save it and go publish it. And just build it. I just click the build. We can just go and publish this. Visual Studio a bit slow because of some extensions. It will be yep. Okay. While it will come up, I will go to the presentation. So we are discuss about app services and what are the features it provide us. Then we check whether where we want app services. Actually, in here, like think migrating or build a new application. The most common scenarios in our day-to-day work life and even in within the project teams, we actually migrating desktop solutions to APIs, RESTful API services, or web application, or we are from the scratch we are building new. Then we can consider does do we want to full control of it. If we want to full control it, it is app service not the best solution. We have that virtual machine. Then if you don't want to full control, then we can check whether we want high performance or clustered work, like we want a Kubernetes clusters or any other clusters that mean running long running jobs and everything. If it is yes, it is not the best solution. If it is no, then we can consider is our app service is a microservice or not. But this can be a bit different. Even multiple app services can be used as a microservice, but I think Azure provide more capabilities to do that. So I think if it is not, app service is the ideal solution. Second scenario, if we migrate or build new and it is a lift or shifting cloud optimization. If it is lift and shift and it is don't want to containerize or it is a web or API app. So then you can just choose app services. If if I take another scenario, if it's a migration of new build, lift and shift, so, and it is cloud optimized one, and can be containerized. Also, we can go to app service, but it is depend again the scale of your application, your requirement, and many other things. If there's a you want to go to containerization, there is different solution also provided by Azure, but in using this flow we can consider about using app service as well because it is helping Docker, but it has a containerization container instances, Azure Kubernetes, and many more. Even we have Azure uh, Fabric that in Service Fabric. Here I just bit wrong with this name. This is a cloud, the Service Fabric we have. So let's see whether our Visual Studio is ready for publish. Yeah, let's try. Likewise, your changes is replicating here. So another important thing I should want to discard with the other web services provided by Asia. So It is provided the Asian maps like Google Maps. Even you can simple and secure location API that provide the geographical context of data, and it provide API management. You can publish API developers to partners, developers, employee, and securely and scale it using API management. Using cognitive search, it help you to AI powered cloud search within different sources. Yes. Even it have a uh, notification hub that send a push notification to your client and services. And even it has even I didn't mention here static web apps. That mean you can just create a web app as a CDNA link, or Azure Spring Cloud, that full featured Java based Spring Cloud based solution, and Azure Signal are for real time web functionalities and that kind of things. Okay. That's are the other services provide. If you want to develop web apps with Azure provided these services. When you go through the Azure product catalog, you can find these services and what are they are doing.